those that don't know, Brian's running a little late. He was working at a house and things weren't going right. So he said he should be here around 7:10. If you're new to the group, if you know how, if you can go look at the bottom, there's wiggle your mouse at the bottom, and there's a chat thing down there. If you can put in your email address and your phone number, that would help me. I can put those in my phone and put it with your name. There's no 1 minute deal this time. Nobody had anything. The thought for the day, or for this month, is none of us is as smart as all of us. I like that one because it kind of goes with networking. The book of the month is Fortitude. It's by Dan Crenshaw. He's ex-Navy SEAL. He's also a representative for Texas in the Houston area. I think someday he might be president if he lives long enough. He had some severe injuries when he was in the service, and he's overcome a lot of it. He was totally blind for a while, and now he can see out of one eye and partially out of another eye. So he's doing a lot better, but he's still, he's a man that, the reason I think that the book is so good for everybody to listen to is because it'll really show you, it'll motivate you, encourage you to keep going even when tough life gets rough. If any of you guys know of someone that would be good for the group to hear, or a subject that you'd like to hear, let me know, and we'll try to get them on and have them present to the group. Remember that whatever Brian says is not legal, accounting, or professional advice or information. If you see something that you like, just check with your lawyer or your accountant. And that's all I have until he shows up.
So if I want to share it, is there let's see.
Look for your green.
Brian, do you see?
Oh,
my mouse is
screen
goofy,
share.
Brian. Do you see Justin Premier Turbo Team?
Oh yeah, just
on him and make him a host. My mouse is not working for some reason.
Make host.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go. Now he can help you.
All right.
He knows Zoom really well.
All right.
Okay, Brian. So find that green share, find the arrow, the big green arrow, and click on it.
Okay.
And then that says another window. You need to find either your presentation or share your whole screen, depending on what you're sharing. If there's any audio or video, you need to check the boxes at the bottom of that for.
Yeah, there's not.
Okay, great. And leave those unchecked and just select the tab or full screen, and then hit share at the bottom right of that window.
I've got a Mac, so I have to give it.
Okay, so it's a Mac. So,
I have to give it permission to.
Yeah, that's
all right.
You're going to have to add some. You're on it.
Okay, let's try this one more time. Desktop share. Open system preferences. Okay, that's done. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So I know this is an investors group. This presentation is going to be more geared toward real estate agents. This is what I discuss and go over with my real estate agents whenever I'm trying to get them on board as featured agents and partnering with Hamadi. So a little bit about myself. I live here in Midland, from the Hobbs, New Mexico area, work in the oil and gas industry for Chevron, full-time employee, and then bought into Hamadi last year. It's a franchise, it's national brand. I think we're about 70 plus franchisees right now, helping realtors sell homes and highlighting them and all of that good stuff all over the country. There's 5 of us in Texas. There's 2 in Houston, two in Dallas and me out here in West Texas. So I'll just kind of go explain a little bit about what Hamadi is, or like, so who founded it. So it's founded by Jerry Clune up in Westerville, Ohio. He started Comfort Keepers, and you can kind of see there that he decided that he wanted to sell out, and he made a pretty substantial amount of money in doing so, and decided he wanted to move to Caribbean white sand and blue water. And the real estate agent that came out to list his estate, well, they ended up dating, and she was a Remax realtor out of Westerville, Ohio. She's one of the top 10 in the nation realtors. And she got to hearing explaining to him the complaints and the different things that realtors are facing, and getting leads cut, and, you know, having to share profits and stuff with the big guys like Realtor and all of that. So he developed Hamadi, which is a blended word. Found out that agents needed to adapt their marketing strategies due to the biggest demographic shift that's happened in the last 50 years, and that's the out phase of the baby boomers and the inflow of the number of millennials. Gives them a unique, stronger, unique selling proposition, and it gives the agents the ability to regain control of their leads. What we mean by that is all the leads come back to each agent for each of their listings that they do, free of charge, in real time. And there are several different events that are triggered that notify each agent as to the name, the number, or the name and the email of the person that's looking at the listing. So it has the ability to do, you could set up your virtual open houses and different things like that. I'm not really going to touch much on those just due to that, but 24/7 virtual open houses, they can, the agents can set those up, you know, turn them off as frequently or as non-frequently as they'd like. And there's some marketing and stuff that they can do behind that. One of the cool things that I'm going to touch on the most here is this right here. This is a floor plan that is generated from being in the home in about an hour and 45 minutes, scanning your home. And the accuracy of this floor plan is it's just under a quarter of an inch, or right at a quarter of an inch at 15 feet. And recently I did one of these for Ralph as an idea, and he actually compared the actual measurements to the floor plan measurements, and I think he was kind of beside himself at how accurate it was in that. So with that being said, what that would allow a real estate investor to do is, if he or she were to buy a property and they needed to go in and they needed to order new cabinets or flooring or whatnot, in an hour and 45 minutes, and probably in about an 8-hour time period, I could have all this information back to you, and you could be, you know, making your tile order, your carpet order, your cabinets. You know, you would be able to go into the file and do your measurements for all of your product ordering without having to send someone else to the property in order to gain all those measurements. Now, the measurements are internal gross measurement, so that means sheetrock to sheetrock. So there's going to be a variance of square footage. It's not going to be your overall square footage that you would get from like the city or tax roll or anything like that. In talking with the franchise out of Houston, since the Houston Association of Realtors makes it hard for them to work for realtors because we can't pull, or Hamadi can't sync to their MLS. He has investors that he goes out and does this for, and he told me that David is entering the waiting room. Do I want to let him in?
He's in.
Okay. Um, that this investor orders all of his materials needed to rehab that home from this particular floor plan, and along with the floor plan, you can go in and you can view the interior of the home. If I can figure this out real quick, I'm going to try to open up one of the files. There it is. I'll open one up for y'all real quick. That way you can get an idea of what it looks like. So can everybody still see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is basically what it would give you. And let me go over here to the kitchen area real quick. This is just what allows them to virtually travel through. So what I was meaning by the contractors or of the ability to come in and measurement, down on the bottom of this screen, there's a little ruler. You would click on it, and I can place this ruler anywhere that I want to. I can click and I can hold right there, if it'll cooperate with me. It normally works perfect any other time, but why are you not cooperating with me? Let me start over. It can, man, this is really frustrating.
You're going to lag out just a little bit due to the share.
Oh, okay. So let's say you wanted to see what the distance was from this wall. Just don't understand. It's normally, well, didn't quite get to the end like I wanted it to, but you can go in and you can measure that wall without having to go in there, and that's going to tell you that it's 7 foot 6 inches from this point to this point. And let's say if I can get it to from there to there to right thereabouts, then you can go in and you can see that you've got an overall of 23.2 feet, which in the scale of, you know, 1/4 inch accuracy at 15 to 18 feet, that's pretty good without having to send somebody out there with the tape measure, laying them down, you know, the time that it can take to go in and measure out and draw out the house and different things like that. So a lot of people have really liked, even a lot of the realtors really like the layout of this. Just imagine buying your house and you like, man, is that wall really long enough for what furniture we have? Then you could go in and you could measure it and say, you know what, it's going to be tight, but I think we can make it work. trying not to go over all of the real estate type driven stuff. But one thing that Hamadi is, it's pretty much a one-stop shop. We do aerial videos, we do aerial still shots, we use the Matterport, which is 4K imagery. We have the ability to do virtual staging. We have twilight videos, video slideshow, which is kind of based if the listing was going to be put on onto the MLS that the potential buyer would be able to see. But right here on the right, the virtual staging. I personally have not had any done yet, just because of the boards in Odessa and Midland are pretty stringent on that. But I know some of the other franchisees throughout the other states they're selling about 60 to 80 virtually staged photos a month. Does anybody have any questions so far?
What doesn't the board like?
The virtual staged photos.
Why?
Because it's misrepresentation, I believe, of the property. Which,
But I'm not a realtor.
yeah, because I don't see why they would have a problem with it if you can watermark it. This is virtually staged, not representative. I know that Hamadi is also doing some other things that they're just kind of coming out with some other stuff that it's really driven to help the realtors, gain more listings, keep their listing appointments, minimizing their rate of cancellations and stuff like that. But at the same time, I do see this as one of the things that a real estate investor that's, possibly, one doing a fix and flip or rehabbing, and then like a buy and hold that you have to kind of go in and rehab a little bit, potentially, having before and after as far as your portfolio maintenance goes, different things like that. So, other than that, that's really one other thing that we do as well. So for each listing that I do, I do $10 boosts. So, and those boosts are Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So Hamadi being a national brand and having the website, we see about 1.5 to 2 million clicks per month as far as activity goes. So it really helps broaden the horizons for each listing, regardless of the area, due to the social media focus and SEO focus that Hamadi has put into the social media, social marketing aspect of things. So I'm just trying to see. And I know that some people probably think that this is pretty expensive and whatnot. In reality, it's not, because I can go out and do the 3D tour, the VR, and you get the 3D tour, your 2D stills, your aerial video, your aerial still shots, your floor plan with measurements, $10 social media boost. And for a non-member or a limited agent, it's $286. And for a featured agent, it's $229. You get a 20% discount being featured agent. And that's where all the leads come back to the agent free of charge, basically. So that is one of the things. I know Hamadi itself is more residentially real estate driven, but I do see a lot of potential in aspects where, just going out and doing this right here could potentially save you quite a bit of time. But other than that, that's really all I have.
Speaking of time, Brian, I remember you doing that for our homes. So tell me about the time for them. It was a really quick turnaround. So if you were to have a scheduled appointment, how long does it take you to get a house done and then for it to be on the market?
So from the time that I get out on the job site, I'm normally on the job site at the home for anywhere from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, just depends. Uh, Once I get that done, then there's a little bit of process time, and anywhere from 6 to 8 hours, the file will be back. Then I can go through and select, create the 2D shots, and typically have them back within 24 hours is what I strive to do, to have pictures back and stuff like that. As far as the MLS, so since Hamadi can't link directly to the MLS like, Realtor and Zillow and all them are, we sync to the MLS through List Hub. So there's a little bit of a lag. So it might take anywhere from 24 to 72 hours once the listing is on the MLS before it syncs up with Hamadi, and I can go in and get the link sent out, and they can get them copied and pasted into the MLS, so that whenever you go to realtor.com or Zillow or Trulia or wherever it is, the 3D tour icon should show up. And at that point, then it would take you to Hamadi, where the listing is at. And I can bring that up and just kind of give representative layout as to what the listing looks like on Hamadi.
Yeah, it's a really neat interface to get around in. It was real easy for showing the houses off, and we had a QR code and that type of stuff. So it was easy to send people to the website.
I don't know if y'all seen that, but this right here would be an email that you would get. And then clicking on the link, it's going to take us to here. And this is basically what it would look like. I'm going to go to the overview version. So this is the overview. It puts the pictures of the house. It gives a description, the property details, list price. Down through here you can scroll and look at the pictures. There's the 3D tour. I guess this is the aerial video floor plan, and it will bring the floor plan up right there, and you can view the slideshow. I'll go ahead and click and play the aerial video, but I don't think y'all can hear the sound.
Do you do the drone?
No, we can't
fly
put
the
video
drone?
landline.
Yeah. This particular video is about, I think it's 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Yes, I do fly the drone.
Yes, he's licensed.
I am FAA Part 107 certified. I am insured.
My boys have a virtual game thing that they got for Christmas. Would this play on their game? I saw that with a virtual thing on her face.
The 3D tour does.
I don't think that it would be the same, just because the platform that Matterport uses. I don't think it would be interactive with like the PlayStation VR or Oculus or anything like that. So, but we just try to highlight the video, and a lot of it just depends on the property as well, on how good it can end up looking. So and granted, I know that if y'all don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and pause that because I hear the music and it makes it hard to hear y'all. I know there are a lot of people out doing this, but as far as competitive price points and stuff like that, I would venture to guess that there's nobody in town that can give you an apples to apples package comparison for the price that I can.
Well, Brian, just the professional photos you did of the home was worth the package that we spent, I think. So, from a normal photographer, you normally spend $150 to $200.
Yeah. And from what I understand, a lot of people are just charging $225 just for just the Matterport stuff. The home that we just watched the video on, these are the pictures that I had taken. These particular pictures are drone. I'll have to slow down a little bit so that way they can load a little bit clearer. Once you get to the inside of the house, I mean, that's the quality of the pictures right there. And I mean, feel free and type in this address. It's 3306 Verona Drive, and you can go in and look at the pictures and different things like that, yourself if you'd like. Granted, every now and then you're going to get this little pixelation up here at the top. That's because the camera is infrared, and it kind of builds that stuff. But for the most part, overall, I think the picture quality is pretty good and compares to probably some of what your photographies, guys are out there doing, with the HDR stuff, and charging a little bit more. So
I'm still interested in the realtor part. Okay, so we're buying a house right now, and when we get to resell it, if you did your virtual staging, we wouldn't be allowed to put it on the MLS as the virtual stage, or how does that work?
So I'm not exactly sure. I'm a member of the Permian Basin Board of Realtors, but I don't really know the rules. I'll follow up and find out the answer to that. I don't know why they don't want to have virtually staged photos. I know myself that if somebody asked me to do them, I would say, okay, I'll do them, but I'm going to have the watermark in the bottom that shows that, some type of statement that says that these are virtually staged, because I don't want to get the realtor in trouble or fined,
Right.
and I don't want to tarnish my reputation or my name in being the guy that virtually stages these photos. You know what I mean?
Right.
So just want to make sure that it's on the pictures. So.
Well, and that's Permian Basin Board, correct? There's multiple.
Yeah, ones. I think it's the Permian Basin Board of Realtors, and it is the Odessa Board of Realtors. But I'm going to write that down, and I'll find that out over the next day or so.
Now, the virtually stage it, is that an additional charge?
So it is an upcharge. Basically, it'd be one of those things that once I got all the pictures back to you, if you would have to be specific. All right, these are the pictures that I want to do, because it's $45 for a virtually staged picture of a picture there where they don't have to remove anything. So if they have to go in and remove a bunch of furniture and then go in and restage it, change the color, there's going to be a little bit of it's more costly,
right,
to have to remove and then add. But if it's a bare room where nothing has to be removed, then it's $35 per image.
So per room, basically.
Yes.
Okay. And then how do you pick out the furniture, or do they pick out the furniture?
So there's some options on the ordering form. You know, can choose kind of contemporary, or you could just there's an option to let Hamadi be creative, or so to speak, something along those lines. Is as far as that. But there's a lot of like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. This is where I'd like it. You know, it takes some detail in writing to be able to get it. That way we don't have to make a lot of changes.
Thomas is asking, is a realtor required to use this service when selling the house? To
No.
clarify, why am I asking that? I'll follow that up with the following questions. What would the process be if I'm selling a fix and flip house without a realtor? Would it be hosted on your site? Would it still be on the MLS? If so, would the leads go to me directly?
So it's not something that a realtor has to do. So if you wanted to say do this, rather than me send the links to the realtor, then the links would go to you. So in essence, it would be the same thing as far as being on the MLS. No, it wouldn't, not unless you had somebody or knew somebody that would put it onto the MLS for you. But yes, it would be on the Hamadi site, because I would go in and I would manually add that listing to the Hamadi site, and any activity that was generated onto that would then come back. If let's say you are a non-member or a limited agent, then all leads would come back to me, and then I would then in turn share them with you. Does that make sense?
He says, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the past, I've used it with Brian, and and of course, I'm not a realtor to sell. So.
And what's really cool about it is I'll just show you kind of what the back end, when someone signs up as a member, as a featured agent or a limited agent, Hamadi has basically what they've created, this agent dashboard. And what it does is it gives, the activity for, the listings. This particular, let me see. I'll just pick one. So for this particular listing, I'm not sure whose it is. I don't even think I've done this one. It's had 25 impressions on this particular listing. It tells you, are they viewing the 3D tour? Are they viewing the video image views? Are they downloading the floor plan? Are they downloading the brochure? Different things like that. And it creates, I guess you could say, some KPIs or whatnot for the each listing, for the agent. But I don't have like the actual agent dashboard like it would actually appear on the agent, because I'm not an agent, so I'm seeing it from the inside or the back end here. So, but this just kind of an overview is something very similar as to what the agent sees. Any questions? I mean,
Anybody have any more questions?
And how long does the Hamadi, how long can you purchase it for?
So each activity or each listing, it encompasses in the pricing 6 months of being on the MLS or the Hamadi site. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah, and it covers everything up to 4,500 square foot. If it was a bigger home than that, then it goes up by 6 cents per square foot above 4,500 square foot. Only on the scan part.
What happens if things are slow, it doesn't sell in 6 months? How much does it cost to renew?
It's one of those things that I would, if we needed to add it, it's $10 for the others. It's 10 or $15 for the other 6 months. So if we needed to go 12 months, it's one of those things that it's definitely an option.
Very reasonable. Okay, Brian, thank you very much.
You betcha.
Enjoyed the presentation, and I definitely have a fuller understanding of exactly how it works and how we can use it as investors.
Yeah.
Do they keep it in their computer so that maybe 2 years later you can do it again using the same video?
Yeah. And, using the same video, if it was just a few months apart, I would say that would be a good thing. But trees grow, the time of year. Is the grass green or is the grass dead? You know what I mean? So it's definitely one of those things that I guess you would just want to play it by the timing of the year, I guess.
Right.
This
Well,
was great.
we'll leave it
I
open
still
for
don't even-
everybody. If y'all want to start talking and communicating to each other, that's fine.
Yeah, everybody can unmute if they would like, and definitely ask any other questions to anyone.
Yeah, Brian, I'm a little confused on the measurements. You said they're not completely accurate, right?
So they're accurate to a quarter of an inch
Okay, so,
at 15 feet.
okay.
Brian,
I
Brian,
Yes.
the last one you did was, all the measurement was dead on the money. Like the house you did in Odessa, everything was dead on the money. Like everything.
Okay.
All
Okay.
everything.
Okay. So everything
I
was,
was able to cut off an inch off.
yeah. So a quarter of an inch over 15 foot, or even a quarter of an inch over 2,500 square foot. For not having to stretch out a tape measure, it's crazy how technology has evolved, and it's kind of mind blowing. And what I mean with the difference in square footage is going to be the overall square footage of internal gross versus, which is sheetrock to sheetrock measurement, versus exterior brick to exterior brick, which is what the tax rolls go off of whenever they're figuring square footage.
Okay.
Lee, I think this is towards you. Jennifer has asked if there's been any progress on a trusted contractors list.
You said what?
Has there been a list for contractors, trusted contractors within the REI? Has there been a list created or updated on that?
No. Cynthia would probably be the one that has the most updated list, but that's contractors that she's used. It's not contractor that everybody
As we
has.
always know, it's always evolving.
What's that?
Yeah, it's always evolving. Well, definitely, the contractors are something that are hard to find a one that'll stick with you for a long term. So even if they are good. So, but Jennifer, if you definitely have any, you find them, let them know about us and bring them into the meetings.
Yeah, I know my presentation was probably not as long as y'all was hoping it would be to help stretch out the time, but apologize for that.
It was very informative. I enjoyed it.
I have a question just about real estate agents in general. Can real estate agents work independently, or do they have to work for companies like Keller Williams to show homes?
An agent,
Go ahead, Justin.
yeah, an agent has a license that is strictly, there's different licensing within real estate. So you have to have an agent, and an agent has to have a certain amount of hours and time underneath a broker. And that is, once you have done that, then you can actually go after your broker's license, and then you can go out on your own. Now there's a lot of associate capabilities that you can use. There's and a lot of new methods nowadays that don't even take brick and mortar offices under a broker, EXP, Keller Williams, etc. There's a lot that are coming and changing the real estate. But yes, you do have to work under a broker for at least a little amount of time.
Okay.
Now, are you asking if you have another job? I kind of caught that. So yes, you can have another job. Of course, you can. Now, if it's an investor, you'll learn that if you're investing, then you have to tell them and disclose that you have a real estate license.
Okay. Thank you.
Curtis, are you in town or are you in school, at school?
I'm still in school.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
8 a.m., right?
Yes, sir. Ways away.
I was working down the street from where Curtis lives, and he came up and saw me one day, and we had a little discussion, and he joined the group after that.
I'm glad you let me know about it. It's definitely learned stuff from this. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to be closing on a house here, hopefully in next week, hopefully tomorrow, the Thursday, and it's a hoarder's house. And when we close on it, we're going to make it a real project house. We're going to have an open house within a couple of days after that, because we're wanting to get in there and start working on it. And when we have the open house, everybody can come over and look at the condition of it. It took 4 people 10 days to empty the house. One guy was working in the garage, and on day 2, I think, he found a car in the garage. He'd been working on the garage for a whole 2 days, emptying it, and finally found a car in there. So y'all might want to come by and see the open house. You're welcome anytime after the open house. It's just that when we do the open house, you'll be able to see the condition as it is right now. And then we're thinking 4 to 6 months it'll take us to fix up. And anytime like that you want to stop by and look at it and see the condition and see what we've done. And if you want to help, you can help. If you want to just look at it and talk, we won't quit working after the open house, but we will talk to you.
Did you find anything that you didn't expect due to it being a hoarder's house and you couldn't see everything until it was removed?
I actually did. She gave me the keys about a week and a half ago. And so Steve Sanders is doing it with me. And Steve Sanders, for you all that don't know, he's a fix and flipper and he's a fix and hold. And he's been doing it for about 20 years. He's done 10 fix and flips, maybe 12. And so he's really good at doing his stuff. And so Steve said we need to get a fumigator in there and get all the mice out because the droppings are all over the place. So I said, well, I got mice traps. So I went in there the next day and I set probably 12 of them off and put peanut butter in all of them. Came back the next day and not one mouse was in this house. So I picked them all up at 4 and I left 4 in the house just in case somebody comes in from the outside as it gets cooler weather because there's holes going outside. It's in really bad shape. When we looked in the attic and you looked up at the roof, it was during the daytime, it looked like stars at night because there's so many holes in the roof. It's an exciting house. I really enjoyed looking at it. The only bad part about getting in the house is then I have to go to work.
Yeah, you have a big smile on your face, Lee.
Oh yeah, it's just going to be really fun to work in. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I don't normally do anything until I own property, but I went ahead and trimmed up all the trees. They were real low and everything. It took about 4 or 5 hours, and I had fun doing that. I can't wait to rip the bushes out. I haven't talked to Steve yet, but I think what I want to do is put pansies into certain areas while they're for sale, because when we get ready to sell it, there won't be pansies on the market. And then just before we sell it, I think we'll put in the shrubs.
All right. And you think it's going to take 6 months plus to?
He said if it was just the two of us, it'd be 4 to 6 months. But his son does stuff, and then he has another guy that works with him. And then Robin Donnelly from the group, he's going to start working with Steve. So he's going to work on this whole project with us. And I'll learn so much just on, I can do tile and I can do roofs. We're going to have somebody do the roof, so I don't have to do that. And I can paint. But other than that, I can't do anything. So I'm going to learn how to texture and how to do sheetrock. I'm going to learn a lot on this project.
All right. Sounds like you're going to be spending a lot of time outside the house. So this is good. Keep us informed as we go along. It's interesting.
Lee, do you have the appraiser go in? Did you already have the appraiser go in, or remind me, does that go after the project has already finished, or before?
Well, I told you earlier that we got it for $10. We gave two bids. We offered them $150,000 if we got financing, and if they would finance it and hold the note until we finished the house and sold it, then we'd give them $165,000. What was your question again?
The appraiser. When do you get to have the appraiser go in and?
Yeah, one of the things I went in, and the way I got her to think that 165 was a good deal, which it is. You know, they're getting an extra 15,000. And the minimum, if it took 12 months, they still make 9% on their money. And the shorter amount of time they make, the more they make. But I told her, you know, if we got an appraisal, that's wasted money because we already know the shape of the house. We've been in there. We know what we're going to do to it. If we get a what do you call it? A survey, we don't need that. It's in a neighborhood. Yeah, we might get stung, but the chances of it being missurveyed are very low. And there's just a lot of extra costs that come in when you get a loan that we don't need. And so I told her, you know, if we give a surveyor money, it's not benefiting her and it's not benefiting us. It's just wasted money. And that's how we're able to offer her 165 instead of 150 is because of all the money that we'll save over the project. Eric, I love your kid. That's great.
Yeah.
He just got back from football practice and he's still acting on. I guess they didn't run him hard enough or something.
There we go. What's his name?
His name's Alex.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah, and this is Lauren right here, my daughter.
Hi.
Yeah. Hey, Lee, so y'all plan on, I guess, holding the property? Y'all gonna go ahead and flip it? Or-
Yeah, we'll flip it. It's in a nice neighborhood. It's too nice of a property for me to hold. Steve might have held it had he found it, because he does higher end properties. Probably does B plus properties, and mine are all C to D properties. I don't have properties in any neighborhood I don't feel safe in, but
Yeah.
they're definitely lower areas, and I like dealing in that market.
Yeah, yeah. I got you. And it's in, was it like on, so is it like on south side, north side of Midland?
This
Or
one's over at
East, west?
8th Street in the Loop. It's in Polo South. Are you in
Oh, okay.
Midland or Odessa?
I'm in Odessa, but
Okay.
I'm familiar with Midland. Yeah.
Yeah, over at 8th Street. It's on the other side of the airport in the Loop. It's in that neighborhood, which are,
I
you
got
know, when we did our comps, I have a realtor friend, and he sent me a bunch of comps for the last 6 months. One was right across the street, so that was a great comp. And then
Yeah.
some of them were like million and a half dollar homes. We kicked those out, but that's the type of neighborhoods that are within a half a mile of this place.
Yeah. I got you. Hey, what do you think about all these apartment complexes that they're building all around Midland, Odessa?
I think it's the same thing that happened back in the 80s. No, literally. They've already committed the money.
Yeah.
They've got the loan, and they can't not build the thing because they owe the money. How are they going to pay it back if they don't build it? And so they're just hoping they can build it, get it rented out enough that they can make the minimum payments for those loans.
They're
Back in
pretty
the
much stuck.
80s, I thought they were crazy, but I didn't understand real estate back then. Now I understand what's happening.
They're just holding it for the long term, pretty much.
Well, they have to, because they've
They're
already
pretty much
committed
forced
the
to.
money.
Yeah, there's an angle on that as well, Lee, that they're looking at. You know, if there is a down cycle as we may see in homes, people have to have a place to live. They move into rentals. There's already a shortage in rentals throughout the United States, especially here. Won't take long to fill up the homes, so that's why we needed a lot more apartments. Just even a few years ago, I think about 3 to 5 years ago, a report needed by 2025 we needed another, I think, 70,000 apartment complexes in the United States. So anyway, it's kind of another angle on it now, as they're thinking that if the housing shifts, people will have to move into rentals.
Yeah.
I only had one house that came open during this time, and I thought it was going to take me maybe 2 or 3 months because I'm really picky on my renters. I won't rent out to people that I don't really think they'll take care of the place. And I had it rented out in 5 to 10 days, and I couldn't understand why, because the market was going down, and I figured out why. It's because a year ago, when people were coming to town, there was no place to live except for apartments and some places that way outside of town. So now the houses are opening up. Their 12-month lease is coming up, and when it renewed, they didn't want to go back into an apartment or maybe an RV park outside of town. They wanted to be in a house. So I got it rented out real quick.
Mhm.
That was my thinking of what happened.
I gotcha. What's your take on like the mobile home parks and RV parks, like and stuff like that? You think it's maybe a little oversaturated, or you think there's still a demand for that type of stuff like that?
If I could get a mobile home park, I would. And depending on the RV park, I might.
Affordable housing, you can't get any cheaper.
Yeah.
Like a man camp?
Man camps are only for men, and that's a very small. They don't even want to live with each other.
There's a a lot of them around here, though.
Yeah, it's a
How
whole
would that go? You would ask the company to go in on you with it? Go, like, help you with it?
No, RV parks, mobile home parks, individually owned, individually long-term residential leases, rentals.
Oh, wow. So they must have lost a lot of money and because of the recent pandemic and stuff, to get all the jobs lost, right?
There are a lot of those man camps that have been crippled, especially over between Pecos and Carlsbad. Some of the man camps have shut down due to, I mean, you're talking, 20,000+ people out of the area now that's not staying in these man camps working rotations.
The RV parks are still full around there.
Yeah. RV parks are still completely full, but the man camps, they've kind of gone away. I mean, they're still there, but they have kind of cut some. Not when I cut them, it's they've shut them down, and it's more feasible to operate one of the bigger ones than maybe one of the smaller ones that may be a little bit more desolate.
Yeah, the water is the issue out in that area too. So
Yeah.
Overhead is huge depending on where you're at. But yeah, man camps in general. But they made their money on a lot of those. They made it quick. The ROI on that type of stuff is pretty fast.
They could still make a profit or get some of their money back by selling those homes, though, right? As far as selling the home itself, it's kind of like a trailer, right? Most of them.
Yeah, but when you're needing to sell, yeah, it's never a good time. That means everyone else is. So, yeah, if they're needing to do that, you're not really making money. A lot of times it's a cut loss or a fire sale.
I have a good story about that. I had a gas station that was over on Big Springs back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it wasn't being run as a gas station. It was basically just my office. And I had plants in there, and I just really enjoyed having it. I was sitting there one day and sitting in the office thinking how nice it was not to have to go home and have the kids yelling while I'm trying to do, bookwork and stuff. And I said, I love this place. I need to sell it. Because when you don't want to sell, that's the time to sell, because they got to come to your price. And sure enough, I got my price in about a year later.
That's a good one. I've told people that a lot. About the time you really think something's great, you might look at selling it.
Yeah. Don't ever get in love with anything, but if you like something and you really like it, that's the time to sell.
Yeah, especially business, things that are retail, things that are high volume. If you have competition,